manufacturers of hearing devices do put a considerable amount into the research. They're not the only ones doing research. Oticon is a foundation and part of the DeMont Holding Company. That's a larger company that deals with not just hearing devices, but equipment, other medical equipment for testing and things like that. They have multiple manufacturers, multiple different things that relate to hearing. As a foundation, their charter mandates that 7% of all revenue go into research and development of the innovative products to improve the lives of hearing impaired individuals. Oticon's focus is to be curious, innovative, and provide life-changing technology. The DeMont Foundation operates a research facility in Denmark called Eriksholm, and that's one of the largest research, probably is the largest research facility for hearing loss in the world. This facility is dedicated to developing and testing innovative technologies for the future. It's located in Denmark, and it was established in 1976 with the purpose of physically detaching a handful of engineers from the shorter term product-based research that Oticon does for their hearing aids and putting them more into the research and development department and allow them the opportunity for more long-term things. So what they were studying 10 years ago is what's coming out in hearing devices today. And what they're studying now, we may not see for another 10 years. So, gosh, it was probably about 10 years ago that I got to visit Eriksholm. And that was before they were seeing the functional MRI and those changes, but they were putting electrodes on the brain where they'd have this whole brain thing and they'd pinpoint, like they were trying to figure out how the brain was processing sound. And they have a huge anechoic chamber where you walk in and it's like just dead silence in there where they're doing all this testing and things like that. It's a really neat facility. So there are other manufacturers that have similar facilities, not as big as this, and sometimes more based on how do we develop the hearing aid versus what's really going on with how the brain processes. Outside of industry research, there are government agencies here in the US and in Europe that are researching hearing health and the relationship to cognition and hearing loss. We're seeing a lot of studies right now about that relationship. The National Institute of Health has the National Institute of Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, the NIDCD, which conducts 1,300 research grants, training awards, and contracts in 7 mission areas, both hearing, balance, taste, smell, voice, speech, and language. And then in Europe, there's the Manchester Biomedical Research Center, which funds, enables, and delivers world-leading health and social care research that improves people's health and well-being and promotes economic growth. So they're looking at trying to hit parts of the world that maybe don't have hearing health services and trying to distribute that. And what are the social implications? So their key is to focus on the social implications of hearing loss. These are 2 research papers that came out recently. One, the US Surgeon General's advisory came out with our epidemic of loneliness and isolation and recognition of health consequences of social isolation and loneliness. And it shows that hearing aids is a prevention strategy to preventing loneliness and social isolation. So they're looking at what's the pill that you can take for loneliness and depression and social isolation. Well, you don't need sometimes you just need a hearing aid, not a pill. Okay. So and then also the Achieve study, this just came out, 2 months ago, I think it was, in older adults at increased risk for cognitive decline. hearing intervention slowed the loss of thinking and memory abilities by 48% over a 3-year period. So if you can slow your cognitive decline by 48% by wearing a hearing device, wouldn't you want to do that? Right? Okay. So more and more, again, it goes back to, we now know that the brain is what's processing what we're hearing. If we're not hearing, the brain's not processing. Don't use it, you lose it. Okay. Why are hearing aids so expensive? Okay, well, first off, let me say, why do we have to ask this? Anybody know why we have to ask? Why do we have to worry about expense on hearing aids? Because it's not covered by Medicare. Why do they treat hearing loss like it's, you know, if you need a knee replacement, you don't care what the cost is. You don't have to care what the cost is. You don't have to care whether it's a knee replacement that's going to give you 50% mobility versus 100% mobility. You want the best one that's going in there that's going to give you the most mobility. And you don't ask about cost because your insurance covers it. So, you know, but there's a lot that goes into hearing devices other than just the gadget. Okay, it's not just the hearing aid. So advanced technology, modern hearing aids are equipped with sophisticated technology to provide better sound quality, noise reduction, connectivity to other devices, and customization for your individual needs. Research and development, we talked about that, requires significant investment in research, testing, and innovation. Customization, hearing aids are often custom fit to an individual's ear shape and specific hearing needs. This customization requires additional time and resources, increasing the overall cost. Regulation and certification. In the US, hearing aids must adhere to strict quality and safety regulation imposed by health authorities. This is the same in a lot of other countries as well. You don't want someone wearing a hearing device that's going to blast them and cause more hearing loss. Limited competition. The hearing aid market has been dominated by a few major manufacturers, which can limit competition and allow these companies to set higher prices. So one of the reasons, though, that there are so few companies is it's a relatively small field compared to other consumer electronic markets, such as smartphones. People have asked me, well, don't they just get a chip from Taiwan? Mm-mm. The chips in the hearing devices are designed by engineers specific for that. They are smaller than any chip that you can buy from in mass market. So, and they're designed specifically for hearing aids. So the engineers that are working on that are building the digital chip from the top down. Okay. So, and you know, there's no mass production. Lack of insurance coverage. So we kind of talked about this at the beginning is, you know, in many places, health insurance doesn't cover the full cost of hearing aids, or it may cover part of the devices, but it doesn't cover the services. And this leaves consumers to bear a significant portion of the costs themselves. So as many of you who are wearing hearing devices know, it's not a one-stop shop. You don't go in, buy something, and then automatically know how to use it, automatically know how to clean it. It's programmed automatically to your specific loss. So that's a big part too. Marketing and distribution. Companies spend, manufacturers spend on marketing. That's why we have Tyler, because he's got to tell me what's in all these hearing aids and help me figure out how to market it. distribution, how to get it out to people. And then there's the price that I have to pay for marketing. So I don't do a lot of marketing, so I rely mostly on you. So that you know how much it costs to put an ad in the newspaper? Full page ad is about $20,000. I can't do that as a small mom and pop facility. Miracle Ear can do that on a national level, but their hearing aids aren't as good either. So, you know, there's a lot of advertising out there that, you know, sometimes it's not good advertising. So I tend to do all mine by educational events. I want to educate people on their hearing health. So that's kind of what I focus on in smaller events like this and my Listen Up cafes at home. And then there's accessories and connectivity to hearing devices. Many modern hearing aids come with accessories and connectivity features that allow them to connect to smartphones and other devices. These added features can increase the cost. So how many of you that have hearing devices are connected to your iPhone? Yeah, right. How many of you have more trouble with your iPhone than you do with your hearing devices? There are days where it seems like more than half of the patients coming through the door, I'm teaching them how to use their iPhone. Okay, and they're not easy, right? It's great to have some of these added features, but I tend to go by the keep it simple, stupid method, the KISS method. So it ain't all about the gadget. So when you look at the cost of hearing related services and hearing healthcare, it ain't all about just a gadget, but the marketing efforts out there and even the government to some extent would have you think that the hearing aid is the solution for everything, but that's not the case. So we think brain first. This is also the feeling, this is where Oticon and Widex and some of the other manufacturers are really figuring it out. They're designing their hearing aids to respond to the way the brain is processing sound. Brain hearing technology is designed to support the brain's natural process of making sense of sound. Through life-changing technology, we are able to provide solutions for all types of hearing losses, age, and lifestyles. Hearing aid solutions have been designed to meet your hearing needs and provide reliable, discreet, and comfortable options specifically for you. So these are the things that they're looking forward to doing. Untreated hearing loss can make it difficult to follow and engage in conversations, especially if there are multiple people or there's background noise, right? It can feel like a wall of sound where everything is blurry. You can feel disconnected, right? Or isolated from the conversations going on around you. Traditional hearing aids, I would say hearing aids that are over 5-6 years old, they focused on improving one specific conversation. They would zoom into who you were looking at, or you could change a program to focus in on who you were looking at. Rather than preserving all the conversations that may be going on around you. It creates a restricted artificial listening environment that can sometimes feel like a spotlight where you have to look at the person you want to hear. While that person will be easier to hear, you can miss out on other conversations going on around you that may be important to you. So a lot of devices and the less expensive devices are doing this. Okay, the traditional hearing aids are doing this. The newer technologies, with the newer technologies, we have access to all the sounds in the environment rather than creating a restricted listening environment. Hearing instruments can scan the environment, balance the sounds around you, and push the noise into the background. It's just doing this with digital and artificial intelligence. These technologies are patented and are backed by proven research showing these technologies improve speech understanding in difficult environments. Let's go back. I don't know why this is not working. There we go. Let's turn this off. Now maybe it'll work. Okay. Okay, so with this unique approach to managing sounds in difficult listening situations, you are able to follow conversations or switch your attention from one person to another as needed with less effort. That's our goal, is for you to be able to hear someone over here, hear someone over there, switch your attention, let your brain do the work, and let's get that signal as clear as possible. So what's next for new hearing instrument technology? Until now, all hearing aid technology has relied on rules to decide what is speech and what is noise. With the complexities of speech, you want to hear speech being part of with complexities of speech you want to hear and speech being part of the background noise around you. This is a tall order for a hearing instrument. The human brain is the gold standard for processing sound, right? Revolutionary hearing devices are now being developed that work more like how your brain works because it learned through experience. Science shows we hear with our brains and not our ears. We want to give the brain more of what it needs to make better sense of sound so you can get more out of your life. Now we have hearing devices that feature the world's first deep neural network embedded in the chip, okay? And it has been trained on 12 million real life sounds. So what this is, a deep neural network, it's the same technology that they're building the self-driving Teslas, where the Tesla learns if the sees the bumper, it's going to stop before the bumper. So it's been trained on all these different situations. Same with the hearing device. 12 million sound scenes have been trained, programmed into the devices so that when you go into different environments, the hearing aid knows how to adjust. As a result, it helps your brain decipher intricate details of relevant sounds for better speech understanding with less effort and the ability to remember more. So what makes this technology so much better than what was already being done in hearing instruments? Because of all those intricacies of speech, I mentioned the deep neural network is more accurate and precise when it preserves the speech around you. Let's see, then those of you who wear hearing aids may have experienced some problems. This is the other thing with feedback where the hearing aids whistle. Maybe we always used to hear people their hearing aids were whistling and they didn't hear it. So those things have also improved quite a bit. Wind noise, you're out on the golf course and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't hear, the wind's hitting my microphone. You touch your hearing aid and it might, or your hair and you hear the hair noise. All those things are things that now they're finding solutions for as well to make them more convenient and personalize them to your listening experience. Hearing instrument solutions come in a variety of styles and innovative technology to meet your individual needs. And there are some situations where being able to connect your hearing instrument to external devices offer you additional benefits. So we talked about connecting to your iPod or your iPhone or your Android phone. iPhone was the first we could connect to because they use the same technology for all iPhones. Android was harder because they couldn't get Google Pixel and Samsung and Motorola to all agree on what technology you were going to use. So that took, 5 more years before we could connect to those. And in the next 5 years, we'll see an entirely new Bluetooth type of connection. They're working on another Bluetooth type of connection, which will help you when you go to the airport to connect to what's coming over the loudspeakers and to connect in more public places so that you can hear better. And that's supposed to be the new thing coming. And then now we also have smart chargers and rechargeability of our hearing devices. No longer do you have to change the tiny little batteries and lose them on the floor, right? So they're fast, reliable. You have a rechargeable, yeah. Nowadays, 3 years ago, I wasn't really pushing rechargeable because the battery technology was still a little bit unstable. And so, but I'd say in the last 3 years, almost 80% of my patients are rechargeable now. So it's been a big change, but we're in like the 4th generation of rechargeable. So it just keeps getting better and better. So in conclusion, improved speech understanding. If you and your or a family member suspect your hearing is decreasing, I hope you have been encouraged by this presentation today. Untreated hearing loss can have a negative impact on your health and well-being, but it does not have to. Talk to me or some other audiologist about the potential benefits of hearing instruments for you. You've taken an important step today just by coming here. And I want to applaud you for that, because that's getting the information is the first thing you have to do, right? Once you are aware that you're having trouble hearing, there are 2 choices. You can do nothing, or you can take action by moving forward. So why see an audiologist for your hearing health care? That's one of the questions. Who to see? Well, and why do we need to see a provider versus buying something over the counter? And from the market track research, these are all people wearing hearing devices. 80%, more than 80% had their hearing devices fit by a hearing care professional. 95% of those are very satisfied with their hearing care professional. 80% needed 2 or more visits until the hearing aid sounded right. It's not a one-stop shop, right? You need that follow-up appointment. It needs to be reprogrammed. It needs to be checked. 85% of the people say their hearing care providers set the right expectations. So there's no 2 people, every person's hearing loss is unique to them. It's like your fingerprint. There's no one solution that's going to fit everybody. So seeing the audiologist, seeing that professional will help you to determine what's going to fit for you. 84% are good at considering individual needs. They said that 84% of the hearing care providers were good at looking at those needs. 77% say their hearing care provider let them take just the steps they wanted. Okay. It's gotta fit into what your needs are. And then so schedule your appointment. If you haven't done so already, have your hearing evaluated, discuss treatment options that best match your hearing needs and your lifestyle. Your treatment plan is personalized to your needs. At your appointment, we'll discuss your communication needs, evaluate your hearing ability, what you can do to maintain your hearing devices. Those of you, I think there's 6 or 7 of you that are patients of mine, and you've been told how often you're supposed to clean and check your hearing devices, brush them off daily, change your domes or filters, keep them free from wax. You know, when your hearing aid stops working, the first thing you want to do is check for wax, things like that. And then come in for your quarterly visits for us to do a deep cleaning on them. Hearing devices come in a variety of styles. The best devices function better in noise. So if someone says to me, well, I want one of those real small ones, but aren't they more expensive? No. Size is not an issue. It's the technology you put in it. What chip is in it? And the better ones function better in noise. So what's the takeaway? Communicating is an important part of daily living for all of us. Being able to hear and connect with family members, caregivers, friends, and healthcare professionals is even more vital as we age. Interventions to improve the quality of life for people with hearing loss are available, but it's important to address these hearing issues early. Thank you. And my information is up there.
Okay. We'll have a time for questions, and Cheryl Son is going to go around for those of you that have questions. Okay.
Okay. And by the way, there's cookies and muffins and stuff over there, courtesy of Tyler. So help yourself there. There's a lot of brochures and there's some forms to fill out so you can come and ask questions also later. And go ahead.
Hi, my question has to do with tinnitus.
Yes.
I mean, I'm hearing like steam in my ears right now. Is there anything that can be done about that?
Yes. So she's saying tinnitus is a problem for her. Tinnitus is a problem for how many of you have tinnitus on top of your hearing loss?
What is it?
Yeah, tinnitus is ringing in the ears. So ringing or buzzing or hissing, any background sound. It's very common when you have hearing loss. So the first thing we want to evaluate is what's the hearing loss. So hearing devices for a number of people help because you're elevating. You'll know that sometimes background, if you turn on some music or you turn on some sound, it'll kind of mask it out, and hearing devices will elevate that so that you hear it less when there's other sounds going on. So, but not typically. Okay. So we know it's there. We know that, you know, it's causing the hearing loss typically is, or the tinnitus is a product of the hearing loss. It's not, tinnitus doesn't usually happen on its own. 5% of the time it might, but most of the time people with tinnitus have hearing loss. 90% of the time. So that doesn't mean everybody with hearing loss has tinnitus, but yeah. Ruth. Ruth has a question over here. No? Oh, okay. You didn't have a question? Oh, good. You're coming in tomorrow. You'll ask all your questions then.
I saw in the earlier part of your presentation that it showed that the inner ear and the little curlicues, and there's one you named as balance. Is that the total thing that controls all my balance and the way I
This-
stand?
The semicircular canals. Those are like, they look like the little roller coaster things, right? In your ear, that helps to control balance. Then you might have trouble all your life, or your body will relearn. I mean, that's the thing with balance, is it uses your eyesight, it uses your balance mechanism in your ears, uses the feeling in your spine, uses the feeling in the balls of your feet. So how many of those things that I just mentioned age? Right? So when you lose the ability on one, the others kind of try to compensate, right? So that's the beauty of the brain is, you know, we want to keep what we can working. We want to keep stretching. We want to keep doing all that. Yeah.
I have a question in that, as you so well explained, there's so many facets, so many parts to our hearing, starting at the outer ear and moving all the way into the way the brain handles sound.
Right.
Have they been able, through the research process, to assist in particular areas of debility? In other words, when you say hearing loss, I'm sure that that's an overall use of the word, but it doesn't define, is it the first, the second, the third, the fourth, or the
Right.
fifth problem?
Yeah.
And if that, have they been able to identify that?
Yeah.
And if so, have they been able in any way to compensate?
Right. So what we do have is, oh, I think they heard her. She was loud. Did you all hear her? Yeah. She's on the microphone. She was good. Yeah, so they have, in a sense of, if you look at the outer ear, there are surgeries for outer ear problems. There are surgeries for the eardrum. There are surgeries for the ossicles, the tiny little bones, okay? Those type of structures, those are medical things that they can do surgery to fix some of those things. And that's where you would see an ear, nose, and throat physician or an otologist for. So I do not do surgery, right? I deal with the process of sound, not so much with the anatomy. Okay.
We have a question.
And then the cochlear implant also is looking at what's going on in the cochlea and dealing with sensory neural hearing loss. So there are different things that they're working on along the way. They are looking at trying to figure out how to regenerate the little hair cells in the cochlea. And they've been able to do some of that in birds. And they're looking at trying to get that done in mammals. But, you know, will it happen in my lifetime? I don't know.
We have a question.
Yes, is hearing loss hereditary?
Hearing loss is hereditary to some
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, if your parents had hearing loss at a young age, you might as well. If you add noise exposure and firearms and other stuff onto it, you're gonna double your chances and lose your hearing earlier. But yes, I have 85-year-olds with normal hearing. That's just amazing, right?
Big one. Yes, thank you.
So, good. Back here.
I'm coming.
Hold on, she's coming with the microphone.
To prevent wax in your ears or to cure it once you've got it, is there a simple and safe way to deal with with
Everybody's wax is different. So it kind of depends on what type of wax. If you're a chronic wax, you build up chronic wax, I would recommend that you see an ear, nose, and throat doctor to evaluate that, come in every 6 months or get on a routine with them to do it, or ask them, because sometimes the wax is that dry skin and wax, and sometimes it's a wet wax. Sometimes you can use D-Brox or ear drops, and sometimes that just irritates the ear canal. So everybody's going to be individual, but the person to talk to typically about your particular wax condition would be an ear, nose, and throat physician. There are over-the-counter things that you can use, but it depends on what type of wax you have. So everybody's going to be individual. And yes, there are over-the-counter products, but they should be directed by, if you have a chronic condition, it should be directed by a physician. Okay? Anything else? Well, thank you. And I appreciate you all attending. And I don't know if people are there in their rooms, online, on Zoom, but if you want to get a hold of me, there's our website and you can call us off of that, our phone number. If you want me to, I didn't have the phone number on there because I figured I'd be talking to everybody, but phone number is 408-354-1312. Again, that's 408-354-1312. So my office is on the corner of Los Gatos Almaden and National. And National, it's a corner building. Okay. Yes, we're the corner building. They're the next building over. Okay. And then also we do have monthly meetings. One of these signs, which one is it? This one over here talks about the comorbidities of hearing loss. And this year, my seminars, monthly seminars, each month has a different topic. So we call them Listen Up Cafes. You'll get it. If you fill out one of those cards, you'll get a little email each month about signing up or coming to one of those. It's at my office. We have cookies and goodies, and I give a little talk on the topic of the month. Next month is balance problems, hearing and balance. And the month after that is hearing and depression, I believe. So those are their next two. This month, we've already had our talk, and it was cognitive decline and hearing loss. So that was very well attended. We had a lot of people because people are interested in that.
It's at your office.
It's at my office. It's, it's social hour too. I talk for 30 minutes there, and then
What time of day?
it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Particular day of the week?
Friday,
Always Friday.
always Friday, always 10 o'clock. We have those dates are also listed in the Outlook newspaper if you get that. So I usually do an article information thing in the Outlook on the topic of the month. So you'll get that as well. But tell your friends, send them my way. Like I said, that's the best way to help me, is to word of mouth is the best advertising.
I
Okay.
think with hearing aids, it's so easy to focus on what they don't do. I know that I do that, but not necessarily in what they do in order to help us, because we've come a long way from having one of those horns that we hold up
That's
to
right.
our ears in order to hear what's going on. And it looks like things will progress, even though it's slow, but they are trying. And thank you so much for coming.
Actually, I have a question, and that is any work being done behind the scenes to get Medicare to start paying for hearing aids for seniors?
Yes. And there's mixed things going on with that because part of the problem is Medicare Advantage plans are deceptive. And so, and that's not a true plan. It's more of a discount plan for hearing devices. It's not a, hey, here's $1,000 towards the purchase of hearing devices. Or let's give you a tax credit for the hearing devices you purchased. So yeah, politics are crazy. They're not adding anything to Medicare because Medicare is broke because all the baby boomers are hitting Medicare age. And so you think they're going to add anything that costs more money to Medicare? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, good question. You're welcome. How are you? Let me get out of here. I do. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in forever.
Person you go to? This is the person that you go to help you with your hearing aid?
Let me get out of here.
Do you go to her?
At this point, I'm not.
Ah, got it.
And thank you. I think I have it all.
That's right. That's right. The faster you talk, the harder it is. I had somebody that came in, I took them with the hearing aids and listened to their podcast, their cell phone, and they're like, this hearing aid doesn't work at all. I can't understand anything. And then I looked up, I'm like, well, show me what you're doing. And they go into their podcast. I'm like, it's at like 1.75 speed, right? I'm like, let's slow it down. Again, I have to teach them how to use their iPhone.
Thank you for coming. I offered some people some rides. I know where your house is.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, did I answer your question? No.
I trust you. You know better than all those 5 meetings or anything like that.
I screwed Sunday.